Good afternoon everybody, this is your Friday topic lesson and we'll be learning all about Egypt, where it is in the world and some of its physical features. So on this slide you can see a world map. I want you to find Egypt on this map. Have a pause, have a think and point to it on your screen. What continent is it in? So, Class 9, you have a cutout of this in your resource pack. Class 10, it will be attached to Dojo, or you can put it in your own book, or you can screenshot from the YouTube. I want you to label the continents that you know. We did loads of work on continents in the space topic. So for example, I want you to draw a beautiful, nice, neat line from Europe onto your page and label it Europe. And I want you to do this with the rest of the continents. And then finally, we know the continent that Egypt is in is this one here. And I'm hoping that you are shouting at the screen at me that this is the continent of Egypt. So I want you to colour in this continent any colour you want, from pencil to pink to yellow to green, anything you want, and you are going to label it down your page and label it Africa. Do the rest with the rest of the continent until you get to your next piece of work. Your next piece of work looks like this. Again, Class 9, you have a copy in your folder, and Class 10, you can screenshot it or you can draw the outline of it in your book. Or you could just point to it on the screen as you see it. Where is Egypt in Africa? And I'm not going to tell you this one because Africa is made up of lots of different countries. You can see them all separated through the lines here. And Egypt is one of the main ones of Africa. So I want you to either look on Google Maps, you could look in an atlas, pause the video here and colour in Africa for me on, colour in Egypt for me on this Africa map. So I'm hoping now you pause the video and you have all coloured in this corner here on the top right hand corner, and this is Egypt. This is the country right here, right in the northeast of Africa. So make sure that's coloured in for me and labelled in your book. So now we've got a closer view, space view of Egypt and that top half of Africa. Today we're going to learn about the country of Egypt by looking closely at the maps of a country and identifying some of the most important landmarks, including Cairo, which we've learned about this week on our tourist information, Luxor, which is another big city in Egypt, the River Nile, which I think you should already be able to spot on your screen, the Nile Delta, the Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens, where all the pyramids and pharaohs lie. So if you just have a little look at this photograph, just pause it there and have a think. What is all this yellow part here? You should be shouting at the screen. That is definitely all desert. As you can see, Egypt is mainly made up of desert. Now, this little green trail running down the middle, what do you think that is? Again, you should be screaming, that's the River Nile, and you are exactly right. The River Nile runs right through the heart of Egypt. And then this bit up here, where the Mediterranean Sea meets Egypt and filters down into the River Nile, is that Nile Delta. You can imagine it being a little funnel of the ocean coming through from the ocean here funneling down into the main strip of where the River Nile is. Here's a little closer look for you. You can see the small Nile River coming from here, and it goes all the way down on the left hand side. So all the green area here is where the land is able to produce crops, it's able to grow, because all the water from the Nile filters out. So obviously you can see the green area filtering into the desert. The Nile runs all the way down, and those with beady eyes will be able to see the black to dark blue line running through the heart of the delta. So, in ancient Egypt, 90% of Egypt is covered by desert, which is often referred to as red land, and it's not easy to be habitable. Obviously, you can't live in the desert, there's no food, there's not much water, it's really, really hot, and you can't do that. And the River Nile was a major influence on the ancient Egyptians' lives. They needed it to get water, to help grow their crops. And in the ancient times, most of the population, they lived next to the river. Now have a little think, why do you think that would be? They called their habitable place the Black Land, so that was right next to the river, and they were able to then live in it. They will be able to grow crops and they were able to use the Nile water for their own purpose. And it was named the Black Land because of the dark slit that remained when the floodwaters receded. So when the water dried up a little bit and it wasn't such a fast flowing river anymore, it had a black and dark slit going right through the heart of it. And this is where the farmers grew their crops. Really good land to start growing everything that they needed, the wheat, the barley, the things that they would grow in Egypt for food. So, class 9, you need to get this sheet ready to be writing on because you'll be doing that to stick in your book. Class 10, again, if you do not have it, you can either screenshot it or you can find it on Dojo. Using the clues that are on the screen right now, you need to be able to label the two major cities, Cairo in the north and Luxor in the south. So where do you think they will be on the map? You need to be able to label the River Nile running north through the country, right through from the Mediterranean Sea. You need to be able to label the Valley of the Kings, where 500 years ago, for nearly 500 years, tombs were constructed for the pharaohs and the really high riches and nobles. It lies on the west bank of the Nile, so you're going to need to be able to look at that compass, the north, east, south and west, to be able to label it correctly. And then finally, your last one to label is the Valley of the Queens, and this is where all the wifeys were. So they weren't buried with their husbands, they were buried on the other side of the river. It's also nicknamed the Place of Beauty. Have a little think, why do you think it was nicknamed the Place of Beauty? Write that down for me. And it is located on the west bank opposite Luxor. So you're going to have to write down Luxor first and look directly opposite. So on this next slide, hopefully you have written the correct labels for those boxes, and you can see them side by side, the sky view and your picture view. Cairo is right next to the Mediterranean, right on the front here, which is a really good place to go on your holidays like we looked at this week, because it's really close to the beach, really close to all the goings on, and right next to the River Nile as well. It's not too far from the Valley of the Kings, so when people go on their day trips from Cairo and Luxor to see the pyramids, it will probably take about 3 hours to get it from Cairo, but from Luxor it's really quite close, maybe a half an hour to 40 minutes. Even I sound like I'm a tour guide now. So you can see here, make sure, tick them if you've got them correct. Cairo's right at the top, Luxor in the south, Valley of the Kings and Queens opposite each other, and the Nile running through the heart of Egypt. You can even draw the Nile and copy it on your own image if you have one at home, so you can see where it runs through directly. Finally, again, class 9, you will have a cutout of this. Class 10, you can just copy the questions into your books and do the answers for me. So you might need Google to help you. You might already know some of these answers. This one at the top about the which page of the atlas you can find Egypt. If you do not have an atlas at home, do not worry, just ignore that question and do the ones that you can do. You can answer it on the sheet if you have it and put it in your book. If not, you can answer it normally in your lined book. Your final job this afternoon, year 5, is to draw the Egyptian flag. I can see it in front of me now, and you should see it on your screen. We've got the red banner at the top, followed by the white and the black, and there is an eagle in the middle. The flag of Egypt is a tricolour consisting of 3 equal horizontal lines. And this Egyptian flag dates back all the way to 1952 through the Egyptian Revolution, when they became an independent country. And the flag has Egypt's national emblem, and that is the eagle. Have a go at drawing it for me. You can do it on a plain piece of paper, or you can do it in your books. I would love to see some images and some pictures of your work that you have done this afternoon. Thank you.